Welcome to Sausage on a Fork, a podcast dedicated to the UK's longest running children's drama programme, Grange Hill. My name's Neil, and in each episode I'll interview a former cast member about their life before, during and after their time on the programme. Okay, welcome to the next episode of Sausage on a Fork, and it's a very different one to what we'd normally do. I've got two returning guests who've been on the podcast already, Paul McCarthy, who played Tommy Watson, and Mark Baxter, who played Duane Orpington. Paul, Mark, welcome back to Sausage on a Fork.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem at all. Now, Paul, you mentioned in your episode that you were working on some kind of project that the Grange Hill fans might be interested in. Can you just explain what it is that you've been doing?
Yeah, so basically what happened was we went to one of these reunion thingies, and a lot of the cast members were talking about, it'd be lovely to work together, stuff like that. And I had a few sort of ideas kicking around, and I thought, I said, okay, what I'll do is I'll write a short film. We can cast it with all the ex Grange Hill cast. So I went and did exactly that. Contacted my friend Craig Griffith, who's the director, and got him on board because he's just a genius. So I just thought, you know what, I've got to get him on board. And obviously, Mark's a really good friend of mine, and we went to school together, worked together in a lot of different projects as well. So obviously, he was another sort of no-brainer kind of choice. And set about the script, got the script already up and running, and now we are in. We've got a lot of the cast already sorted out, but we're looking to do a series of short films. Based on current issues, social issues, and also breaking down sort of stereotypes and just really current, really hard-hitting kind of dramas.
Brilliant. Okay, so you just mentioned Craig Griffith there, and I'm very pleased to say that Craig's with us as well. So, Craig, Mark's just alluded to it there, but how did you sort of get involved with this?
First of all, hello everyone. Nice to meet you all. So I've known Paul for years. I mean, obviously I grew up with Grange Hill actually. So I've known Paul in my living room in the little box in the corner since I was a kid, really. And back in about 2001, I was about to shoot a low budget horror film, and Paul came along and contacted me, and we just started working together, and we worked on that basically together. And so over the years, I mean, we just hit it off, and I think we've had quite a good friendship ever since. He might disagree, Mike, but and just ever since then, we've worked together on various projects, and I try and get him involved in every project I've worked on ever since. So basically, I'm always trying to find ways to kill him off.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So, Mark, you're obviously involved in the project. Could you tell us what the storylines are of these short films?
Well, it basically, as Paul was just saying a moment ago, really, is that we really wanted to try to make it as current as possible. So, you've obviously, I don't want to give too much away, but there, let's say you go with your top three. So, of course, at the moment, the sort of the country's gripped in this, cost of existing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it cost of living. I'm going to call it a cost of cost of existing. That's all we're doing at the moment. Crisis. You've also obviously got the knife crime that's rife sort of in major cities across the UK. The fact that people are choosing between eating. I mean, I know it goes back to the cost of living, but, do I heat the place or do I eat? It's one of those two. So, we've got issues that are for now, and that's something that we can all relate to as Grange Hill did. Grange Hill was responsible for bringing sort of the issues for teenagers to the fore that, made people talk about it. So we thought it'd be, and Paul's written some cracking scripts as well.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So it literally is the same kind of theme that, that we're going to carry on 40 odd years later.
Yeah.
It's that, we want to just come together as we were thrown together as kids, by the BBC.
Yeah.
But to show that we, as adults, we still have a responsibility and that we're able to still use our creative skills to be able to produce something that could do the same sort of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned there, Paul, you're writing the scripts. Is it just you that writes them then?
Well, I mean, I write the basic idea, and then we kind of put it out to the cast members, and then they can have a little chop and change around. And also Craig will get right involved behind that because I've torn up a few pages on the direction of the director.
Right, okay.
And Mark will come up and say, "Oh, well, what about if we try and do this?" So it's I mean, I'll sort of think of something, or Mark will think of something, or Craig will. It's the actual idea is about anything that happens. It's like, I mean, I phoned up Craig one day and I went, the England football team, ladies team, have just won, right? There is a hashtag life story about the women's football team winning and the boys always losing. There's a thing about a girl that we can put her through a tough time, and then she can go on to win the World Cup, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's always, if a new situation arises in the world, we can address it through a drama, and then hopefully cast it with some Grange Hill cast or all the Grange Hill cast that want to get involved in it. Really, I mean, basically, it's that's it. So your simple question had a long-winded answer. Because you've actually read the script, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I've read the script for. Well, at first I thought it was going to be one big film, but I've since realised that you've got a few different episodes lined up. So I've read the script for episode 1, and I have to say that the moment I started reading it, I thought, right, I'm going to work this out. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I'm going to work out what's happened here. And it was that good that I couldn't. I genuinely, I'm there, and I'm boggled by it, thinking, no, I'm no further on when I've got to the end of the script. What's happened and what's caused all this as it was at the start, and I'm just not clever enough to work this type of thing out. It was like, if I can just go off tangents, it was like the first time I watched Scream. For anyone that's watched Scream, everyone gets in their mind who the murderer is, and then all of a sudden the murderer gets killed, and you suddenly know I'm lost again. Like I've got that, and it was exactly like that. I was reading this thing thinking it must, that must have happened. This person must, and you just know that I've got no clue, but I loved it. I genuinely loved what I read, and I can't wait to see what it looks like. I genuinely can't. So, Craig, apart from directing the actors, telling them what to do and when to do it, what else does your job involve? Because someone like me who doesn't know what a director does, because I've read your synopsis and your notes, I've since got an idea that you do a lot more than just telling these people where to stand and how to say things.
To be honest, I don't tell anyone what to do, because I to me, directing isn't a dictatorial thing, but it's more of a collaboration. And if you do it right, your job is really to kind of work with everybody to bring out the best in the project. And so that starts right at the beginning with the script. And so the first thing you do is you sit down, you start reading the script through, and then you start making notes for the writer to do rewrites based upon those notes. Now, from my experience, the way I tend to approach that is it's always my opinion. Yeah. So any notes I give is an opinion. It's not a fact, right, because everybody responds to the material differently. Yeah. So, but a lot of the things I said to Paul along the way was really about if you're getting consistently the same kind of note, then those sorts of things need to be addressed as a writer. But it was pretty evident straight away that the script was working. So the notes is really a question of where we could push it, in what sort of direction we could push the drama, and where we could get the most from the story beats. So it's really sort of analysing the script and looking at it and saying, right, at this point here, are we getting enough drama out of that? Are we making enough sense here? Is there something else that we could introduce here to make it different and pushing it in a different direction? So it's really things like that to explore the ideas behind the script, really. So that's the initial stage, really.
Yeah, because again, without trying to give too much away, the script I read features a younger character, and he's just referred to as Boy in your notes, the boy, and you've talked about the camera angles and stuff like that, and that I thought that was really interesting as well. Can you just give us an idea on what that is?
Well, yeah, I mean, that process, director's notes, basically what you do is when you start reading through the script, what you're trying to do is visualize it in your head, how you would present the information to an audience, to someone watching it. I always think about my mum, really. And I think, how would I present this to my mum?
Right.
If I can get my mum to understand the story, then it's working.
Right. Okay.
And I don't mean that to sound like my mum wouldn't get it. She was the one that introduced me to film at a very young age anyway, but she's very film literate. But I always kind of think you've got to pitch it so that that you're telling the story visually and not relying on the words, and that's the way I approach it. So I will do normally a 2 or 3 page breakdown of the script, and I will go through each section. So I'll go through the cameras, I'll go through the kind of lenses I want to use, the kind of lighting style we want to go for, the kind of locations that I think suit the story and suit the characters. I'll have a breakdown of the characters as well. So it's really just breaking it down into a couple of lines in each paragraph for each section of the film, as you would actually make the film, so that people you can convey that information so that people get it, as opposed to just relying on the dialogue, because the old adage of show don't tell for me is so Paul, I know, hates that because I keep cutting all of his lines.
No, I actually don't like that much.
I only cut Paul's lines though. Everyone else's stays.
Right. No, that's fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I can completely understand that, Craig.
I actually won't be in it that much. After Craig's done the edit, it'll be like, oh, that was just no. You don't have to worry about that.
So just on that, then, are you allowed to tell us any of your cast members that you've got signed on, or is that all top secrets at the moment?
Because we want to try and use everybody.
Yeah.
We don't want to give away who's, obviously I'm going to be in episode 1, Mark's going to be in episode 1. But if we sort of say, oh, and such and such and such and such, it sort of takes away the, they're in it.
I get you.
So, and trust me, once episode 1 goes out, everybody is going to want to be in it.
Right. Okay. Brilliant.
So I think once we get it out there, because one, I think the production values would be great. Because we've got a great crew, we've got a great director. The script, as you enjoyed the script, I enjoyed the script. We've got some great ex-cast members. We've got a new young actor who is the son of one of the supporting artists that were in Grange Hill. So we've even kept that kind of we've kept true to form, basically, for the fans at Grange Hill. But if we give it all to you all at once, then it's like if we give you the plot all at once, what are you going to watch it for? I mean,
I'm glad you've just said that there about the son, because I was thinking, who's going to play this young kid? With the greatest respect.
I did audition for it, but it didn't.
The wig was awful. Was awful.
Oh, I can't believe it.
It's okay. We'll fix it in post, CGI it. It'll be fine. Yeah. He'll end up looking like Jar Jar Binks. It'll be fine.
Brilliant. You've talked about the fact that you obviously are gonna it is gonna be a film that you're making, and presumably it's not just a hobby. It is gonna be it's jobs for people. How does a project like this get funded?
Well, I was this close to getting some funding for the film to be made, and it kind of fell through because we the miscommunication or something happened, and that fell through. So basically, we've been going down a lot of different routes and avenues, but we are now at the stage where we're looking at maybe crowdfunding.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Actually, Craig knows more about crowdfunding than I do, because I'm not. I don't know much about it, but so that's going to be one of our ways, because we want to pay the actors, and we want to pay people. We don't want it to turn into one of these projects where nobody gets paid and everyone's where they're not taking it seriously, because it's a serious it's taken us a lot of blood, sweat and tears to get to where we are now. to have people not being paid, so not taking it seriously. So basically, it'll be more. At the moment, we're looking at a crowdfunding option as well as still chasing other avenues.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's. I think that's right, Craig, isn't it? Do you think that's?
Yeah, I think so. But well, to be honest, for me, it's about the fact that this isn't just one short film.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing series of short films, essentially, but with the same characters, all kind of interlinking, but not necessarily all one big story, but it is kind of like one big story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's individual episodes that tackle a certain subject and a certain character going through a certain experience. But we want it to be an ongoing drama.
Yeah.
So because of the state of the world that we live in these days, I mean, there's so much to talk about. And this is what Paul and I found. I mean, a lot of this came from during the lockdown. We were doing a project for the lockdown, and a lot of these ideas are of just looking at the world and what's going on and trying to articulate that in a drama form.
Yeah.
It's just never ending. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Especially as Paul and I tend to be quite politically active, so
Right.
there's a lot to talk about. And I think when I was a kid, growing up watching Grange Hill, it definitely informed my sense of politics within the world, and particularly then Tucker's Luck, which I was a big fan of, and So for us, it's just that sense of the ability to be able to do an ongoing series tackling really important issues. That's where we want to get at. And so really, we want to crowdfund the first one as a proof of concept so that we can take it to the funding agencies and say, look, this works. There's an audience for it.
Yeah.
And from my experience of crowdfunding before, because I've done an awful lot of crowdfunding on projects, and what it means is invariably you've got a proven audience for it.
Yeah.
So that's why we figured it's because a lot of the conversations you have at this stage is, oh yeah, okay, you've got these actors, you've got this actor, you've got that actor, great. But where's the audience?
Yeah.
And so funding is really hard to get for these kind of projects. So I think for us it's about wanting to take control of it and make lay our stall out basically at this point and say, this is what we want to do. Here's our audience. And we want to create an audience who are going to come forward with us on the whole journey, not just one episode.
No, fair enough.
And we want them to be involved so that they feel like that they're part of it.
Yeah.
We don't want it just to be, because a lot of these issues we're all dealing with in our own lives. So for me, it's really key that we kind of embrace that and bring along people who feel that as well.
Great. Yeah,
it's one of the reasons why I think we haven't really approached it as a TV series as such. It's why we haven't gone to the broadcasters, because it's just something that we want it to feel like it's relevant now, something we can put out quickly on a regular basis, as opposed to being 6 or 7 months down the line when these stories have moved on. And again, that came from the lockdown project that we did during the pandemic. We just, within the first 2 weeks of the lockdown, we'd made a half-hour film, and it was out, and it was winning awards, and people were watching it. So we feel that it's a really good way to put this out there as well.
Yeah, and so can I ask, because again, someone who's not got any clue about independent filmmaking, anything like that, where would this series of films be shown? Where would people be able to access it once it's been made?
I mean, initially what we will do is we'll have our own website and YouTube channel to push it out there. But there's also, there's online streaming sales agents like Film Hub, and what we try and do then is put deals in place with those kind of guys, and then they will get it placed with streamers around the world, because there's loads of platforms out there now, and it's just a case of getting it with the right stream. But ultimately, we'd like to build up the audience enough so that we can, the viewing figures and take it to one of the more major platforms like Amazon or Netflix. Eventually, that's where we'd like to go. Amazon Prime, we could probably get a deal with that quite easily, because I've got films on there already, so it's not difficult to kind of put
really, Craig. Really, Craig.
Yeah.
What film do you have on Amazon Prime that you really are proud of?
It's a really weird little horror film that somebody was in. I can't think who now right now. But yeah,
plug it, mate. Plug it.
No, come on, you've got to tell us now. Come on, you're here, you might as well.
And so it's the film that Paul and I made together many years ago called Through the Looking Glass, which was signed to an American distributor, and they've put it out through Amazon. So, you know, there is I think the initial thing is once we've got it up and running as a proof of concept, it's easier then to go and have those meetings with a lot of the people we want to have the meetings with. But, you know, like anything in this world, really, until you prove it, people are not willing to give you the money unless, you know, your best mates or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about this, and you mentioned sort of when you started. But how long would it take this kind of project to get off the ground? So, I don't want to use it. It sounds like a cliche, but basically from script to screen, how long would that process normally take?
I mean, getting the script done took. Well, let's just put it this way: the Grange Hill reunion was in 2016.
Right, yeah.
The actors, bless them, have been sort of really cool about it and really, really patient. You know, it's been like they've been offered this gig for so many years, and they've all got older. I mean, so much so that the young man that was going to play the young man, who is still going to play the young man, I've got to rewrite the script to ask him how old he is, so that it's relevant that the young kiddie is, you know, it's so wicked. So I've got to do a script change because he's got older. Hopefully I'll get him before he gets a beard.
Yeah, right.
but so that's where we're at the minute, you know, because I have been in talks with lots of the old cast members of the one where I was in, the season that I was in, and Tucker's Luck as well, and they seem very keen to get involved. Some of the actors from that, which would be nice. But it's just about the money at the moment.
Yeah. So, Mark, if I can just ask you this question, because obviously when we did your episode, we found out you've done tons of things, different jobs since your time on Grange Hill. How do you feel about going back to acting?
Oh no, well, it never leaves you. Do you know? You know what I mean? It never does, and it's funny because I've had many sort of roles, as you say, out sort of since I left, but they all involve role play in one way or another.
Right, okay.
You know, we're so. For me, it's exciting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be honest, I have been asked on quite a few occasions to go back and do little things here and there, but I've never really. It's never excited me.
Right.
But like I say, with Paul's idea of not just the script, because the script, as you say, is really, really very, very good. But it's also working with people that you worked with so long ago, and you've got all of those fond memories of everybody, and. You know, you just think if you could recreate just a tenth of what we experienced when we were kids, and be able to make something that stands the test of time again, then that's what excites me. Yeah, because the fact is that you know, here we are 45 years down the line, and people are still talking about the episode we did in Grange Hill. So if we could do something else that people were still talking about in 45 years, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we could be immortal, couldn't we? We could be immortal.
Well, if Elon Musk has his way, you will be. So.
Yeah. But no, it does. It excites me. It does excite me because it will be a real blast for us all, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so. You mentioned it earlier on, Paul, and I didn't really ask you about this. So I'm going to ask you now. You mentioned a phrase, #life. Yeah. What's the relevance of that?
Well, that's the name of the overall name of the film company. So #life will be #life cover of the book, which is the first episode, which is a play on don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
So #life is because that's what it is. It's the whole thing is about life, and we all use hashtags now to describe anything, don't we? So so that's it, really. That's what #life is.
Brilliant.
But it's also it's also to do with the fact that these days, you know, the way we consume a lot of films and TV is on our phone, it's on our computers. It's not necessarily that we sit down in front of the TV anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's to be relevant with that generation as well. You know, we're not trying to just make a reunion of something from 45 years ago. We're trying to do something new, but with that kind of the spirit of what was done 45 years ago, I would say.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I was trying to be concise. I was trying to give a nice short answer. Normally not in my remit.
It was really quite simple. We need a hashtag for everything these days, and so why not make it the title?
Yeah, definitely. So you've mentioned there, we've said, you know, talking about hashtag life and the fact that, you know, there is so many things going on in life now. Are you able to give us what sort of the general theme of each individual film, each individual episode would be about?
Yeah, well, basically, what we'll all have a go at answering this because it's a good question. It's basically it will always evolve into what's current in the news. So we will pick up on stuff. For instance, when we did the film about lockdown, we did the film, and it was what was happening in lockdown from our perspective. Right. So we will be doing a series of films. One of them, I've got a very personal story about dementia and old people and stuff, which is going to be featured. And then there's the heat or eat scenario which is happening at the moment, which we're going to be addressing. And somebody feel free to dive in anytime while I'm sort of like, you know, struggling for air down here, guys.
You were doing really well. I think Paul's absolutely right. For me, one of the exciting things about the project is that you know, our turnaround could be pretty quickly on episodes, I think, because we're not beholden to a schedule. We're not beholden to a broadcaster. We're not, you know, once we're up and running, I think we'll be able to shoot and write stories pretty quickly about things that are happening. So as we found out with the lockdown film, our turnaround was 2 weeks. Yeah. So it was really, you know, we'd have to work quickly, but we can address issues that are happening currently, as opposed to 6 or 7 months down the line. Yeah, you know. So for me, that's the exciting thing about doing these episodes, is that each episode can be its own thing, totally unrelated to everything else, but with I guess the overriding theme is always going to be, you know, what the reality of the life we all have to live at the moment, because of certain things that have happened in the world in the last, you know, 20 years. Yeah. So I think it's that for me is what's exciting about it. But the key as well was always that the episodes will be connected, because one character who's not necessarily the main character in one episode will become the main character for the next episode. And then someone in the background of that episode becomes the main character for the next episode. So it's always revolving who the main characters are. Yeah. And you know, so they're connected in that way. Yeah. But it isn't necessarily like a soap opera where it's an ongoing storyline as such. But it's more about just shooting and gunning for those topical stories of the day.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think also that one of the and sort of Craig touched on it there, is the fact that you're not under the constraints of having to, you know, go through all different channels. That you can actually talk about a topic while it's still relevant and still fresh in actors' minds as well. So the passion that you have in everyday conversation can actually be brought out onto the screen, and you know, you're actually in the moment rather than thinking, well, what was it like 2 years ago in the middle of the pandemic? Do you know what I mean? So it becomes very real. It almost becomes like a documentary style with actors, if you know. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's the relevance of it, isn't it? It's the topics that people will be actually thinking and talking about, that you can turn it around and you can still make it, you know, that moment. It's a bit like Spitting Image in that respect, I suppose. You know, what's happening.
It's almost like a current affairs program. You know, you want to be talking about what's going on now, and that's what we learned from the lockdown project, was exactly that. I mean, the actors were bringing their own experiences into those characters, And half the time they were talking about real things that were happening to them there and then, as opposed to a script necessarily. So there was a lot of ad-libbing going on around the scripts, but it's that immediacy really that's important. And I think there's nothing like it that I can think of in terms of drama. It certainly doesn't happen in drama. It's like a topical. It's almost like Have I Got News for You, but as a drama, if you know what I mean. It's looking at the week's events and then trying to make those into a drama.
Yeah. Now, obviously, this is a Grange Hill podcast, and sorry, this is the Grange Hill podcast. let me get that out there. And Mark, you mentioned earlier about you're looking forward to the project because you're working with the people that you worked with 45 years ago, and yourself and Paul were on the show round about the same time, in its infancy. But are the people that you've got in the cast, are they just from that period?
No, because we got lovers that we've met on the reunions.
Right.
So it just happens that the common denominator is that we were in Grange Hill.
Yeah.
But I think it's quite nice that Paul and we've gone out there and we haven't just gone to the people that that were in our own sort of age group, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't want to make it so it was retro. So you wanted to make it, as I said, sort of in my podcast, because I mentioned about the film, and Phil doing the film, and I said it would be better to have cameos. So that the true fans of Grange Hill would then be saying, "Oh, look, there's so and so," and you know what I mean. But it'd be standalone. This is very similar to that. So you'll get characters coming in it, and you'll have people from all generations of the show. Don't forget, 30 years is a long time.
Yeah.
So some of us, our kids were sort of 16 by the time it finished. You know what I mean? So our kids could have gone into it. It's that kind of thing. So we were deliberately going to find actors from the show, from different year groups.
Yeah,
it's quite hard because you do sort of gravitate towards the people that you knew at that time.
Yeah,
but it has been lovely that you're able to talk to people that were in it 5 years, 6 years, 10 years down the line, and they're saying, "Well, I'd like to do that."
Yeah,
because obviously, otherwise, you're going to have all the old gits sort of just doing all those things, and it's not gonna be relevant, is it?
Yeah.
So to answer your, so I've done the same as Paul. I've gone out 25 to answer your question. That is no. But that's what really excites me, and the fact that a lot of the guys have said, "Well, have said, oh, I'd like to do that."
Yeah,
it's sort of testament to what we're trying to do, really.
Can I ask, Paul, on the back of your podcast, did you get anyone getting in touch with you saying they wanted to be in it? I just want to see how if the podcast works.
Do you know what? I can't remember.
Right. Okay.
I think I might have actually.
Right.
But getting back to what Mark was saying, and your question is, we're going to be writing scripts about current situations, and some of the people that were in Grange Hill are a lot younger than us.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So we could literally bounce and be, for instance, this is not written in stone but Tucker could be somebody's granddad that was in the last episode of Grange Hill.
Right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that would be brilliant. That would be, you know what I mean? So we basically want to bring everybody in that we can.
Yeah.
Some that are still not. And also, we want to bring some other, just everybody that was involved in the show in any capacity as well. Because Craig was saying, it'd be nice to sort of maybe get someone to direct one of them.
Yeah,
one of the old directors that directed some of the old shows to direct one of them, or we get someone to do this, or and someone to write one. Somebody who's writing can do some writing and just a big collaboration and stuff. Because obviously Sue Tully would be great if she could come in and do one.
Yeah,
amazing. I'd still get paid though, right?
Yeah, you still get paid. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all right then, right?
What we do is we knock Sue Tully and we pay you the money.
Yeah. I think they might just put the word executive different to your title there, Craig.
Just on the other thing, what we were talking about on platforms and web platforms and stuff. The other nice thing is say you get a really lovely idea on a script and it lasts a bit longer. Like, for instance, the old people one that I've got going on with the dementia and stuff has got some story in it that actually needs a time span. It needs to take time for the actual story to really get involved. So we don't necessarily have a time constraint of, say, 15 minutes short or 10 minutes short or an hour. You know, we could go, right, well, this story deserves 45 minutes. Let's do a 45-minute run. Let's do a 30-minute run. This is a quick 15-minute bang, in and out, sharp, you know, a short, sharp shock one. So we're not constrained by times, by broadcast timing, which gives us a whole sort of opportunity to sort of explore scripts deeper if we need to, or chop them back if they're not. You know,
what's great about that is story dictates everything, and so you know the length will be dictated by how much of it the story needs to play out on that. So when we come to do the Christmas special, that's going to be a good 2 hours, I think.
Yeah. That's when you get a viewer. You get a viewer to write that. We can do a competition.
That's it. Yeah, I know someone that's called Neil that might be able to write.
Well, I don't know about that. Like, it must be someone else. But because obviously I've just mentioned that there, and you were in an episode written by a viewer, weren't you, Paul? Many moons ago.
Christmas special. Blue Peter Christmas special.
Yeah. So
I think Mark was in that as well. You were in that, Mark, weren't you?
No. I mean,
no, that was a very short no. That was when you only needed one word on that one.
The thing was, in that Grange Hill special, I think that the main thing that the Blue Peter writer wrote about was me going for a Jimmy Riddle all the time. I'm just going for a Jimmy. I'm going for a Jimmy Riddle. It was like Paul walks on or Tommy walks on and says, "I'm going for a Jimmy," and walks off. Like, thanks, mate.
Do you know what? Right, just taking this away completely from what this episode's about, but just on that Christmas special, that's the first episode I remember watching. And
really?
Yeah, and from that,
he hasn't stopped going.
I just thought it was great. I just thought it was great that there was lads fighting on the telly. Genuinely, I just thought this is brilliant. There's lads fighting on the telly. I'm 5 or 6 years old, and I've never seen anything like this. And I think that was what got me hooked in straight away. Like, but yeah, genuinely, the first episode I remember watching. I may have watched it before then, but that's the first one that I remember watching.
That you can actively remember.
The irony that writer wrote that, and that's all you do these days, Paul.
Mate, I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah, I was going to say,
old man bladder, right?
Every time someone else answers a question, Paul disappears for a couple of minutes. No one knows what he's been doing. So that's great. So yeah, I mean, it all sounds brilliant, and I really, really hope that it comes off, because I just think, obviously you've mentioned the film, Phil Redmond's film, but this is something else, completely different.
Yeah.
And
it's all gone very quiet about the film, but that usually means that there's something happening, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So Phil will be working out what he can and what he can't do. But like I say, I think you can probably guess if he's going to have some of the old cast in it. You can probably guess the 2 or 3 that he will have, because he does want to still want that connection to the old to the show. So as I say, you can probably guess where he's going to go with that.
Yeah. It's it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting to what happens. It's like this film is like, what'll be really interesting. I know there are a lot of ex-cast members on the Facebook pages and stuff like that. But what'll be really nice is if we can find some people that are not on the Facebook pages, that you don't know what they look like, that you don't know who they are or where they are. And so it's like, who is that? And then at the end credit comes up and you go, oh, right. Because the end credit, comes up and you can go, oh, that was who played such and such. And that's what they look like. And that's what they act like and stuff like that. I mean, Facebook's fantastic for us to sort of meet the people and greet them and stuff like that. But the mystery of what we look like or who we are, it kind of disappears. Whereas if we can cast a few people that are not necessarily on social media, and like bring them to the front, and everyone goes, who is that? Who is that guy? What person who springs out would be somebody you interviewed recently, David. David.
Do you know what?
Lynch.
I was genuinely thinking about him when you were saying
I could see it
that.
in your eyes. I could see it in your eyes.
I was
thinking,
genuinely
thinking
thinking about Boogie. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because he's a lovely actor. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
So he would be fabulous to play somebody. And nobody knows what he looks like anymore because he's not doing the social media thing. So we're not friends on Facebook, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, so people that that would be. I'd like that.
Well, hopefully he'll listen to this and he'll get in touch. Like, but just before we wrap this up, Mark, there's something else you've got in the pipeline for Grange Hill fans. If you could just explain that for us.
Yeah, we'll do. Okay, so in February, this is sort of something I've been planning to do for a while, talking to certain. But in February, we're going to have a fans event, 12th of February, down in Notting Hill, and basically the tickets will go on sale on Monday. So. You know, it's not just going to be a fans event either. You can choose either or. There's actually going to be a performance in the evening too. Songs from musicals. I've got some really great people coming along to perform. So it's going to be a whole day really for people, and some surprises are in there.
Yeah,
I mean, even yours truly will be up. You know, dusting down his vocal cords. But no,
are you going to sing? Are you going to sing?
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the idea. I thought to myself, well, what can I do? So what else can I do? And I thought,
I'll get myself in this film. I'll do a bit of singing. So basically, what you're saying, Mark, is you're going to sing the theme tune, write the theme tune, be in the show.
Yes. You're not. I hadn't thought of that. That's maybe what I should do. Yeah, so again, so say for all those, because I mean, Paul will tell you that we've had quite a few people that have been asking about having another fans event because it's been so long because of the pandemic, and I just thought, what a great idea, you know. And Paul was very graciously said he'll come along and he'll sort of be the master of ceremonies, if you like, for the morning, because obviously, and to be honest with you, I'm so grateful to all of the ex-cast members as well, because there hasn't been an exception where they said, yeah, I'll come, I'll do it. And there's a couple of cast members, a few cast members in there that have never been to one of these before. So it'd be great for those diehard fans that have been to every event to come and get some different bits and pieces that they want, you know. So that'd be really cool. So I'm really looking forward to it too. It's in.
So there's some photo opportunities and stuff and everything there, is there? We're going to do a picture opportunity and stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I might even bring a couple of decks and do some DJing. That might be fun.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Look,
terrific, Tommy Terendus.
But honestly, I'm really hope it comes off. I'm sure it will. The film, and I'm really looking forward to the fan event, because I think I'm going to make an appearance at that one.
Yes, you've got to come down.
Oh, cool.
I need you to come down.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I'll be there for that one.
Yeah, bring your mini DV recorder and do a live podcast.
Yeah, live podcast from that.
Fun.
Yeah, amazing.
That will be amazing. Like, so,
but you have to get up and do a bit of karaoke.
Not a problem at all.
Oh, good.
You can tell from the way I talk how good my singing voice is going to be. But yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm looking forward to all of it. You know, thanks for coming on, Craig. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It was lovely. It's brilliant. It's brilliant to meet you.
Paul, Mark, great to talk to you again. Thanks for coming back on. But Mark, just realised, Mark, this is your hat-trick appearance, isn't it? 3 times you've been on now, because you were on your own episode, you were on the Gwyneth's tribute episode as well, and now this one. Unfortunately, I don't have a match ball for you. I apologise.
A mug.
A mug. I was going to say the mug. Yeah.
You have a mug, don't you?
Oh yeah.
That
might be one I'll have to get for you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I might have to bring some down to the fan events. I'll bring some mugs along there for that one, maybe.
Absolutely. You do that because people will want them for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I say that? Yeah, actually, I forgot to say it, but all the money that's raised on the day of the 12th is going to 2 fabulous children's charities.
Right, brilliant.
And I've even got a sponsor for the event, which is amazing, Eventi event. So it's been, so gracious, as I said. But like I say, every penny goes to the two charities. So, come on, people, please help me out.
I'm sure people are going to snap the tickets up. I really, really am. But listen, gents, thank you so much again for coming on. It's been great talking to you all. Obviously, any news developments, then we'll get that out to everyone. It's been great talking to you. And for anyone who's listening, I'll speak to you next time. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Neil. Take
Cheers.
care.